The Ripple Zbeck partnership that everyone's been talking about just took a massive step forward. And what I'm about to show you could change everything you thought you knew about payment infrastructure in crypto. Welcome to Crypto Journal. Hit that like button if you value my content and want me to keep bringing you these deep dive videos. And don't forget to join the channel membership, where I'll be uploading exclusive content just for members. You'll see the join button right next to subscribe. Trust me, after what I'm about to reveal, you'll want to be part of the inner circle. We're now in November 2025, and the developments between Ripple and Zebec Network over the past 6 months have been nothing short of explosive. Stick around because at the 12-minute mark, I'm going to reveal the exact integration that's happening right now between RLUSD and Zebec's payment infrastructure that nobody's talking about. Back in May 2025, something historic happened. During a live X space on May 21st, co-hosted by Zebec Network and Uphold, Zebec CEO Simon Babakani dropped a bombshell. Over 15,000 listeners heard him confirm what many had suspected. Ripple has been in direct talks with Zebec Network regarding a potential partnership. This wasn't some random rumor. This was an official confirmation from Zebec's chief operating officer on a public platform with Uphold's head of research, Dr. Martin Heisbeck, listening in. The crypto YouTuber Mr. Foresight from Grow Rich, Grow Happy was there live. He reported that Ripple had been in talks with Zebec over the previous couple of weeks on some kind of partnership or collaborative deal. And here's what made that announcement so significant. Within 24 hours of that X space, ZBCN token surged over 130%. The market immediately understood the implications. But let me back up and explain why this partnership makes perfect strategic sense, because once you understand the mechanics, you'll see why this could be one of the most important infrastructure plays in all of crypto. Ripple has spent years building the rails for cross-border payments. Their focus has always been on institutional-grade liquidity and foreign exchange automation. XRP moves money across borders efficiently. That's its core function. But here's the problem that institutions face. Once that money crosses the border, once it lands in the destination country, what happens next? How do you distribute it efficiently to thousands of employees? How do you handle payroll streaming? How do you manage continuous yield distributions to token holders? This is exactly where Zebec comes in. Zebec operates on what they call the final mile, where capital is dispersed, where wages are streamed, where vendor contracts are executed in real time. Think of it this way. Ripple handles the highway. Zebec handles the last mile delivery to every individual doorstep. Now let me show you what's been happening behind the scenes with RLUSD integration, because this is where things get really interesting. Ripple's stablecoin RLUSD entered the market in early 2025 as an institutional-grade, fiat-backed asset. It was designed from the ground up for compliance, transparency, and compatibility with global financial messaging standards. And here's the critical development. RLUSD is now integrated into Zebec's card infrastructure. We're talking about the Zebec Silver Card, which is already active in over 100 countries. This means Ripple's cross-border liquidity can now flow directly into programmable, real-time disbursement infrastructure. Enterprises can send RLUSD through RippleNet and stream it instantly via Zebec's WageLink or PayBridge protocols. Let me paint you a real-world scenario. A multinational corporation needs to pay employees across 50 countries. They convert fiat to RLUSD, send it through Ripple's network for near-instant cross-border settlement, and then Zebec's infrastructure automatically streams those payments second by second to employee wallets or cards. No waiting for bank clearing times. No expensive wire fees. No friction. This is the future of corporate treasury management, and it's happening right now. If you're still with me, drop a comment saying partnership confirmed. I want to see who's actually paying attention to this infrastructure revolution. Now let's talk about the players sitting between Ripple and Zebec that most people completely miss. Lightseed Venture Partners. Lightseed manages over $28 billion in assets. And here's what's fascinating. They are one of the earliest and most strategically placed investors in both Zebec and Ripple. This isn't diversification. This is orchestration. Lightspeed helped fuel Zebec's POS rollout in 2024, backing the deployment of over 100,000 point-of-sale terminals worldwide. These terminals have already processed more than $6.6 billion across fiat and stablecoin assets. But here's where the narrative deepens. Lightspeed was also an early backer of Ripple, long before RLUSD entered headlines. Think about what this means. Lightspeed has effectively invested in both the pipes and the logic. They have exposure to settlement through Ripple and programmability through Zebec. This positioning ensures their capital benefits regardless of whether stablecoin adoption comes from domestic real-time payment rails via Circle and FIS or international corridors via Ripple and RLUSD. That's not coincidence. That's strategic financial engineering at the highest level. And it tells us something crucial. Smart money sees Ripple and Zebec as complementary pieces of the same infrastructure stack. Let me show you the partner ecosystem that Zebec has quietly assembled, because when you see the full list, you'll understand why this isn't some small DeFi protocol. This is enterprise-grade financial infrastructure. Zebec's official partners as of mid-2025 include Visa, MasterCard, Bank of America, Ripple, Stellar, Algorand, Circle, FIS, Coinbase Ventures, Solana Ventures, and the Stellar Development Foundation. Read that list again. These aren't crypto-native projects looking for hype. These are institutions that run the global financial system. Zebec isn't on the sidelines of financial innovation. It's embedded at the intersection of traditional finance and blockchain infrastructure. And this brings me to November 2025 developments that are absolutely critical. On November 5th, during the Ripple Swell Conference in New York, Ripple announced a groundbreaking partnership with MasterCard, WebBank, and Gemini to enable credit card settlements using RLUSD on the XRP Ledger. This is the first time a regulated US bank is using a licensed stablecoin on a public blockchain for settling card transactions. Now here's what nobody's connecting. Zebec recently launched Zebec Carbon, a crypto debit card powered by MasterCard. The Zebec Silver card is already integrated with RLUSD. Do you see how this fits together? MasterCard is now settling with RLUSD through Ripple's infrastructure. Zebec cards run on MasterCard rails and accept RLUSD. The entire payment stack is converging around Ripple's stablecoin, with Zebec handling the programmable payment layer. This isn't theoretical collaboration. This is live infrastructure integration happening right now. Let me give you the technical breakdown of how this actually works in practice, because understanding the mechanics is crucial. Traditional credit card settlements take 1 to 3 days. Banks batch transactions and process them through legacy clearing systems. It's slow, expensive, and opaque. With the Ripple MasterCard integration announced at Swell, settlements now happen on the XRP Ledger using RLUSD. Near instant, transparent, low cost. But settlement is only half the equation. Distribution is the other half. Once RLUSD is settled, how do you get it to end users efficiently? How do you handle streaming payments? How do you enable programmable money flows? Zebec's infrastructure does exactly this. Their WageLink protocol enables real-time wage access and disbursement. Their PayBridge system handles vendor payments and automated distributions. Together, Ripple and Zebec form a complete stack. Settlement layer plus distribution layer. Pipes plus logic. Highway plus last mile delivery. And here's the kicker. Zebec's ZBCN token is the gas that powers this entire distribution layer. Every stream, every payment, every transaction on Zebec Network requires ZBCN. As institutional volume flows through this infrastructure, demand for ZBCN increases proportionally. That's not speculation. That's tokenomics tied to real utility. Now let's talk about what's happening with Ripple's broader institutional push in November 2025. because the timing is perfect for Zebec. Ripple settled with the SEC in August 2025 for $125 million. XRP spiked 11% that day as regulatory uncertainty evaporated. Then Wall Street showed up. By late November, 9 asset managers had filed spot XRP ETF applications with the SEC. Bloomberg estimates these ETFs could channel $5 to $7 billion into XRP by 2026. RLUSD surpassed $1 billion in circulation in November. Institutional demand is driving that growth, with counterparties using RLUSD to hedge exposure and settle cross-border obligations. Ripple also launched Ripple Prime, a trading platform for institutional clients. And here's the fascinating part. Clients can hold RLUSD as collateral on trading desks. Some derivatives traders are already keeping RLUSD balances. All of this institutional infrastructure, all of these new use cases for RLUSD, they all create demand for efficient distribution mechanisms. And that demand flows directly to Zebec's payment infrastructure. Let me show you the recent price action and what it tells us about market positioning. Back in May, when the partnership discussions were first confirmed, ZBCN rallied 150% in a single week. It hit an all-time high of $0.007. The token has since consolidated, currently trading around $0.004. That's down roughly 37% from the all-time high. But here's what's important. Consolidation after explosive moves is healthy. It shakes out weak hands and allows strong hands to accumulate at better prices. The infrastructure developments haven't stopped. Integration is accelerating. Institutional partnerships are expanding. Yet prices pulled back. From a risk-reward perspective, this setup is compelling. The fundamental thesis is stronger in November than it was in May. The technology is more mature. The partnerships are more concrete. The institutional adoption is further along. Yet token price is lower. That's often when the best opportunities present themselves. Technical indicators show ZBCN is no longer overbought. The RSI has cooled significantly. Volume has normalized. The token is building a base for the next move. Now let me talk about what's coming in the near term that could be major catalysts. First, Zebec is rolling out their super app in Q3 2025. This application will integrate Solana, Stellar, and Ripple infrastructure into one unified interface. Users will be able to pay and get paid globally with minimal friction. It's designed for freelancers, contractors, enterprises needing cross-border compliance tools, and governments exploring stable coin-based disbursement. Think of it as WeChat for Web3 payments. A financial operating system that bridges real-world money with programmable digital rails. Second, Zebec is pursuing SOC2 certification. This is enterprise-grade security and compliance certification that institutions require before integration. Once Zebec achieves SOC2, it removes a major barrier for corporate and government adoption. Third, formal announcement of the Ripple Partnership. While discussions have been confirmed, an official joint press release with specific integration details would be a massive catalyst. If that announcement includes RLUSD streaming capabilities through Zebec infrastructure or joint enterprise pilot programs, the market reaction could be significant. And fourth, expansion of Zebec cards. The silver card is live in over 100 countries. If Zebec announces major distribution partnerships or integration with additional payment processors, it expands the addressable market dramatically. Let me give you my honest risk assessment, because I don't do hopium here. I do analysis. The upside case is clear. If Ripple's institutional adoption accelerates and RLUSD becomes a widely used settlement stablecoin, Zebec is positioned as the infrastructure layer that handles distribution. The tokenomics favor holders as usage increases. The institutional backing is legitimate. The technology is functional and already processing real volume. But let's talk about risks. First, execution risk. Partnerships on paper don't always translate to revenue. Integration timelines can stretch. Enterprise sales cycles are long. Second, competition. Other protocols are building similar payment streaming infrastructure. Superfluid, Sablier, and others are in the space. Third, regulatory risk. Even with Ripple's SEC settlement, the broader regulatory environment for crypto remains uncertain. Changes in stablecoin regulation could impact adoption timelines. Fourth, market timing. Even with strong fundamentals, crypto markets are cyclical. A broader market downturn could pressure all tokens regardless of fundamentals. And fifth, token unlocks. Always check the vesting schedule. Large unlocks can create selling pressure even in positive environments. My take: the fundamental setup is compelling. The infrastructure thesis makes logical sense. The partnerships are real and expanding. ZBCN represents a calculated bet on institutional payment infrastructure adoption. If Ripple succeeds in bringing RLUSD to mainstream institutional use, Zebec is positioned to capture significant value as the distribution layer. The risk-reward at current prices, after the consolidation from all-time highs, looks favorable for those with appropriate time horizons and risk tolerance. This isn't a trade. It's an infrastructure position. Let me bring this all together with the big picture view. We're witnessing the early stages of traditional finance merging with blockchain infrastructure. Ripple is leading that charge on the settlement side with XRP and RLUSD. But settlement without efficient distribution is incomplete. You need both halves of the equation. Zebec provides the missing piece: programmable payments, streaming infrastructure, compliant distribution networks. The Lightseed investment thesis connects the dots. Smart institutional capital is positioned across both settlement and distribution. As November 2025 closes out, we're seeing accelerating integration between these systems. MasterCard settling with RLUSD, Zebec cards accepting RLUSD, corporate treasuries exploring programmable payment flows. The infrastructure is being built in real time, and those paying attention now are positioning before the mainstream realizes what's being constructed. Whether you're bullish on XRP, interested in payment infrastructure, or looking for asymmetric opportunities in the mid-cap space, the Ripple Zbeck connection deserves your attention. This is Crypto Journal, reminding you that the biggest opportunities in crypto come from understanding infrastructure before it becomes obvious to everyone else. If you found value in this deep dive, smash that like button. The algorithm rewards engagement, and it helps me reach more people who need this information. Join the channel membership for exclusive content where I'll be tracking developments between Ripple and Zebec, plus other institutional infrastructure plays that most people miss. The join button is right there next to subscribe. Drop a comment telling me, do you think Zebec becomes the standard for RLUSD distribution? Or is there a competitor I should be covering? I read every comment, and your feedback shapes future content. Subscribe if you haven't already, because as this partnership develops through Q4 2025 and into 2026, I'll be covering every major update. The infrastructure revolution isn't coming. It's already here, and now you know where to look. See you in the next one.